Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Okay. Hello, friends of Death by Southwest. I guess at this point I should say friends of mine, right? I just was talking to Patreon because I'm also recording this on video. Again, Lord knows why. But I am. So maybe some people like to watch video and look at my house in the background. It is Monday night at almost 7:00. Once again, here we are at the last minute recording a bonus episode, a mini spooky story. And I don't know what I'm going to record tonight because it is a bit late. I was just telling my Patreon friends that just that it got late. The day got away from me. I did some work for my friend Brandon. I did some work for this guy Matt, just some random little things. And all of a sudden it's 7:00. So here we are. I have, and I wanted to make sure to record at least something because last week I know I didn't put anything out on Monday and Tuesday. I am going to put out the next part of the Austin Yogurt Shop murders tomorrow. I don't even have it finished. Like, there's so much information about the end of this story that I'm trying to figure out how to tell the most interesting and concise version, because I mean, it could be 6 hours more, literally. We stopped where the case went cold until 1999. There's still so much more, but I don't want to lose people's interest by going on too long. And I think there's probably anyways, I'm trying to narrow it down and tell the rest of the story in the most interesting, best way possible. So I'm going to hopefully finish figuring that out tomorrow morning before therapy. And then I'll have therapy and then I'll probably record it. But I wanted to get something out this week, actually on time, for those people who like structure and a schedule and being able to look forward to things. And I'm one of those people. So it's kind of crazy that I am so inconsistent about this sometimes. Sometimes I'm on it. But I love like a schedule and structure and knowing what's coming and knowing what to expect. And here I am just throwing you guys curveballs every week because I know Death by Southwest is the most important thing happening in everyone's week. Okay. So today, I don't even know what I'm doing today, if I'm going to be completely honest. I started. Okay, I do have those two I'm saving for the last 2 weeks of October. So I started by researching, let's see, how do I say this? I have several, like 5 Halloween-based stories picked out. And like a little bit researched on them or a little bit written about them. And then each week I research more and add to it. So I have a couple that are very spooky that I'm saving for the end of the month as we're closer to Halloween. And hopefully it won't be 5,000 degrees here, so it'll feel more like Halloween. And then today I started going over one of the ones and then realized there's just it would be a really mini short story. So I'm like, should I should I talk about that one? Or, sorry guys, I'm literally figuring, so I have a really, really, really mini one because there's just no information on it. There's no podcast on it. There's one podcast on it. And I don't like to listen to podcasts. Like in researching things, I'll see podcasts that have covered the same, the stories that I've covered have been covered on multiple other podcasts, a lot of them. And I don't like to listen to them because I don't know. I think I've explained it before. I don't know what I'm worried about, that I'm going to like copy them, that it's going to get stuck in my brain. I'm going to tell it the exact same way. I don't even know if that would be possible. So I'm not sure what my concern is, but the concern is there. So I don't like listening to podcasts when I find one that has covered 7 o'clock podcasting is not for me. I've said this before, but I just keep doing it. Anyways, so I was researching one. I guess I could just talk about it and we'll see what time it is. And realize there's just not enough. It's like way not enough information. But it's terrible and interesting. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. And then I have another one that multiple people have recommended. And I think I've heard of it, but I didn't really know any details about it. The Villisca Axe Murders, or the Villisca Axe Murder House. I've had a couple people tell me I should do that one. So I started researching that last week. And then today when I was going back through it, because I was like, okay, I'll do this one today, I realized like, wait, this doesn't take place around Halloween. And I don't even know if that's something if that's like a stipulation that I put on these mini spooky stories. I don't think it is. I think I just was saying they're going to be spooky and they don't have to be in the Southwest. So this is spooky and it's not in the Southwest, but today I kept being like, wait, does it have to be Halloween-y? Like, does it have to be around Halloween time? This one isn't. But I do have a lot more information on this. I feel like this could be a real, like a complete episode with all the information I found. As I'm scrolling through it, it's like, it might be. And then I read about an incident that took place at Halloween. There was a haunted hayride in New Jersey. And one of the teenagers, he was, I think 17 maybe, that was working the haunted hayride. Like he was one of the people who jumps out at, he was acting in it. I'm saying acting with air quotes. What do you call those people who are in haunted houses as like the ghosts or witches or whatever, the murderers, actors, right? I can't think of anything else to call them. So he was one of the actors and as part of this haunted hayride in New Jersey. And his role was to portray like somebody who's hanging from a noose. And so I have this little blurb. It says a teenage worker posing as a hanging victim along the route of a Halloween hayride was found hanged for real when the ride reached him, authorities said. A police spokesman said the weekend death appeared to be accidental. The rope was a prop and should not have gone around the boy's neck. So it was like accidental. But I was interested. I wanted to know more. And so I started researching it, and before I realized that it took place in New Jersey, I found several articles on something called Shocktoberfest. And I don't know why, but somehow my brain was like, oh, okay, Shocktoberfest. Well, they have a haunted hayride. It's the same. This event is the event that this happened at just many years ago. It was like 1990, I think, that the boy in New Jersey supposedly accidentally hung himself on this haunted hayride. They're not related. Shocktoberfest is, as far as I know, I stopped looking into it because I realized this is nothing happened here. No one died. Nothing spooky, like actually spooky. Like it's spooky because it's supposed to be spooky. It's an annual haunted event near Reading, Pennsylvania. haunted houses, haunted hayride. It's referred to by the management of Shocktoberfest as a haunted theme park. And it opened in 1991 at Willow Glen Park and has been a Halloween holiday destination for people. And so I don't know, something about it was the same year. They have a haunted hayride. So my wires got crossed in the research. And so I researched this Shocktoberfest for a little bit. And then finally was like, well, what? Where's the spookiness or the murder or, things that happened? No, there's nothing. But it's interesting still. So I learned a little bit about this Shocktoberfest. I'd be curious if anyone who lives out there has ever been, or if anyone lives out there who's listening knows about it. According to the marketing that Shocktoberfest does, the land that this is held on supposedly has a troubled past. Shocktoberfest's marketing has said that it was home to a state psychiatric hospital, a state penitentiary, and a chemical processing plant. But I think this was eventually debunked. It was more of a marketing ploy, and it turns out the land was not used for any of these purposes. But claims of the Graffius Burial Vault Company being a short walk away are true, although that's not technically part of Shocktoberfest. I don't know. Really, that's like not that a burial vault company. So what? That's not that scary. But Shocktoberfest began in 1991 as a haunted hayride called Maniac Mountain. Then in 1997, they added a haunted house, changed the name to Shocktoberfest. And in 2000, it started even expanding more. In 2004, they added a new haunt. It's so interesting. Remember the last week's story about the McCamey Manor? They called it like the various scenes and scary things haunts as well. I've never heard anything like that referred to, or like attractions at a haunted amusement park referred to as like this haunt or that haunt. It sounds weird to me, but must be a thing. So they added a new haunt in 2004 called the Prison of the Dead. And in 2006, it was selected as one of the top 13 haunted attractions in the country by Haunt World magazine. There's a magazine called Haunt World magazine. That shouldn't be shocking, I guess. There's so many weird, specific little niche interests people have. So the hayride attraction, the route is changed and the theme of it is changed every year. So like in 2009, it was called the Biohazard Hayride. In 2012, it was Zombie Revenge Haunted Hayride. And in 2014, it was Zombie Safari Hayride. They also have a 50,000 square foot attraction, the Prison of the Dead. It's a 2-level attraction, indoors and outdoors, themed as a prison. And guests begin their tour by boarding a prison bus. And the tour of the actual maze is about 30 minutes. Sometimes you have to crawl through it. Sounds cool. Then they have something called the Monster Midway. I don't know why this has turned into an ad for Shocktoberfest. Like, what the fuck am I doing? It's just interesting to me. The Midway is set up like a carnival, fashion, food, classic sideshows, and games. They also have zombie laser tag. This is what caught my interest, of course. The Almost Naked and Scared Challenge. So the Naked and Scared Challenge is an adults-only experience. Visitors at least 18 years old are invited to disrobe before entering the attraction. After choosing the nude or prude, prude is the underwear-only option. So you can choose to be fully nude or prude, which means you're wearing your underwear. Guests are asked to sign waivers prior to having a clothes-free night. How is that something that is, I don't have any problem with like nakedness in my home, in front of like appropriate partners and people. Like my best friends, my sister, I'll change in front of people. Like I'm not like shy like that. And if I was, I don't know, in France and on a nude beach, I don't know, maybe, but the idea of going to a haunted house where I'm going to be terrified and like having to crawl and crouch down and run. I mean, just run. Let's just take all the crawling and crouching out of it. Just running naked is something that I feel like would be an attractive thing. I'm sure there's many people who could like run naked and it would look great. I know that would not be my best look. Like, I'd look better running in a t-shirt than I would naked. And so it blows my mind, first of all, that that's allowed. But I mean, I guess if you sign a waiver and that someone would like actually choose to do that, I'm not sure. I mean, thoughts? Love to hear from you if you've been to like a nude haunted house. Also, that's just weird. A nude haunted house? I could see like a nude singles party. I don't know. Something where you can like just stand and there aren't body parts flying and sweat. And what if you pee? Like, what if you get so scared? It just seems really not like a great idea. But either way, the nude option was canceled prior to this attraction opening due to pressure from the local authorities, which is interesting. I'd be interested to know more about that pressure. It's just pressure. They didn't tell them like, no, you can't do this. What are the laws about nudity? Like, I just had like a flashback to an episode Jenna and I did very early on. I want to say like one of the first 5 episodes we did, where one of the facts when we were doing, remember we used to do a sense of place, where one of the facts was like, women are allowed to go topless in Texas somewhere, like just out on the street. But you're not allowed to like do that everywhere else, right? I don't know the laws on nudity. It's never been something that's come up for me. So I'm going to have to look into that. I'm going to actually write that down. I forgot that I had some things written down. Nudity laws. Really leaning into the true crime here, guys. What other things did I write down in my little notebookie? I'll save those till the end. Nothing exceptional. Okay. So now I've decided, because I've just blabbered on for 17 minutes about what the fuck have I talked about? I don't know. This has been one large ad for a place called Shocktoberfest in Pennsylvania. But the Villisca axe murders, I'm going to do that next week, I guess. I'm going to have to start doubling up because I have a couple that I really want to get done. But I've had several people ask for this, and it is a fascinating story if you don't know of it. And what's most interesting about this is that you can go to this house now, today. Like, it's still an actual attraction. But I'm going to save it because it's going to take me probably at least 30 minutes to get through, if not longer. And I am making a dinner that I'm very excited about this evening. It's one of my favorite dinners, by the way. I'm going to tell you this other short spooky story I have in a minute, but since I'm already on the topic, one of my favorite healthy, and for me, healthy is different for everyone. For me, healthy is generally very high protein, fairly low carb. And, I don't really care about fat I don't really care about fat. That's really the only other thing. So I can eat anything in small moderation, but I am my healthiest when I'm really not eating very many carbs and I'm eating a ton of protein and a ton of vegetables. So I love pizza, and pizza doesn't really fit that high protein, low carb, lots of vegetables situation. So what I have done for years is take these tortillas that I love, that are very high protein, very high fiber, and have low carbs. I don't know how they do it, and they taste great. And I just make a pizza on that, and I cover it in, tons of spinach or kale, mushrooms, tomatoes, red onion, and black olives, green olives. And then I used to use soy cheese when I was trying to be more careful. But there's a lot of crap in soy cheese. So now I just use regular cheese. And sometimes I put chicken on it, sometimes turkey pepperoni, sometimes Italian sausage, like whatever, any kind of meats. And it's delicious. It's not a very sturdy crust. I have to eat it with a fork and knife, which is, I know, against pizza religion for most people. But I'm sitting on a yoga ball right now, guys, and it is hurting my back. So sorry for Patreon Zoom people that I look like I'm stretching like a chicken. So anyways, I couldn't find my favorite tortillas yesterday or today, and I didn't want to go all over. So I got just the crappy, regular, kind of low carb tortillas. I just don't think they're as good for you, but they're not as high protein. And so I saw a video of somebody who poured egg whites in a pan and then stuck the tortilla in the egg whites right before the egg whites were about to be done, and then cover it with a plate, flip it, and then cook the other side. And so basically it's a tortilla cooked inside of egg whites, and then you put your toppings on. And I thought, well, that's a great way to get a bunch of extra protein. So I'm going to do that tonight. And I have a bunch of ground chicken that I'm going to try and cook up and flavor it like how I would flavor ground taco meat, with cumin and paprika and other things. I don't know off the top of my head right now. I'll just have to randomly pick some spices. And then I'm going to do a hamburger pizza, but with chicken meat and an egg white tortilla. Maybe I'm not as excited about that. I don't know how this is going to be, but we're going to try it out. If you didn't know, this is not only a personal diary podcast for myself and a relationship podcast. It is now also a cooking podcast. There's a little bit of true crime in here. I promise. We get to if you're new this week for whatever reason, we get to the true crime sometimes, but it's a lot of things. I've turned this podcast into just whatever the fuck I feel like it being that week. And I'm not sure, guys, if that's working, but we're going to keep doing it. All right. So let's do this one other very, very short spooky story. It's not even spooky. It's kind of just tragic, honestly, but it does take place on Halloween. So it fits into the Halloween category of this weird Monday category that I've fucking created for absolutely no reason. But it's not very spooky. It's more just disturbing. Do you think I'll ever pick a lane for storytelling and this podcast and stick to it? I mean, I know clearly the answer is no, but I just thought I'd throw that very rhetorical question out there that nobody could answer, even if it wasn't rhetorical. Some nights it really gets to me when the Zoom makes this a lot weirder for me, because I do just feel like I'm talking directly to myself, which isn't as weird when I'm telling a story because I'm not looking at myself. But when I'm just kind of talking, I just have the I guess I could just close it and not look at myself. Does anyone feel like this is a small, every week you just take a small step further and further inside of my mind? And when you're in there, you must be what the fuck am I doing here? I got to get out of here. What am I doing? Oh boy. Anyways. Okay. This little very, very mini story, we're going to call it a Halloween story, not a spooky one, takes place in Wagstaff, Kansas, which I just realized is so similar to Flagstaff. Wagstaff. I like that better because it reminds me of dogs and Flagstaff, which are two of my favorite things / places. So in 1984 on Halloween, this family 8-year-old Brian Massey and his sisters Tiffany, 11, and Tamara, never know how to pronounce that name, who was 10 years old, should have been enjoying a spooky night of trick-or-treating or watching scary movies. Unfortunately for these 3 children, they were instead subject to a pretty real-life horror movie. Their new stepfather, who was 26 years old, David Andrews, stabbed Brian, Tiffany, and Tamara's mother to death before chasing the sisters, Tiffany and Tamara, down the hall and murdering them as well. David Andrews then came into Brian Massey's room, who was 8. He was covered in blood, and he kidnapped the boy. Sorry, guys, this is a little bit out of order. I have this one because when I realized there was no more information, I was like, God damn it. And I just moved away from it. Alrighty, and you know what? I was going to say right on time. The dogs are going nuts. I got to let them in, but I'm going to keep going and let them be. So I found an article that was actually published. It was. I love finding articles that are actual newspaper. Like it's like micro. Remember, you used to go to the library. You could see, is it microfilm, microfiche? It's like somebody took a newspaper and scanned it in, and that's what this article was. And I love seeing that. I would love to have it more in person, but that was a sidebar. Newspaper article from Saturday, November 3rd, 1984 said, I'm going to read it directly because this really explains it better than I could even put it in my own words. An escaped convict shot himself Friday in Michigan while police and FBI agents were searching for him in connection with the stabbing deaths of his wife and 2 stepdaughters, whose bodies were found in Kansas hours earlier. So I was, reading the same thing, basically. There was not a lot of new information on this. There was just the basics that I just told you, really. I couldn't find really much about the family prior to this horrible incident happening. It was just kind of the same things. But I was looking for a long time, and then I finally came across this, and I was like, wait. This, an escaped convict, this sounds like, I was confused. Because in everything I had read prior, it didn't say anything about escaped convict. It just said stepfather David Andrews. Well, Andrews escaped from a Michigan Department of Corrections prison camp almost a year prior to this. I mean, a year he escaped and was, well, I guess back in 1980, it must have been 83. That makes sense. It was a lot easier. Remember, whoever said it, Mark, Jen, I can't remember, but like before cell phones and CCTV everywhere, all you had to do to get away with the crime was like commit it and then just like outrun the police, basically, which is kind of true. So this article just blew me away because initially really all I could find was that 26-year-old David Andrews stabbed his wife, Tiffany, Tamara, and Brian's mother to death on Halloween night before chasing the sisters down the hall and murdering them. Then he kidnapped Brian. It was basically all the information I could find, and then found this and was like, wow, that adds a whole new layer to this story, that he had escaped. He was an escaped convict. And then on top of that, he tried to kill himself. He shot himself. He survived, unfortunately. I think, unfortunately. But he was rushed to a hospital after wounding himself critically at his sister's home in Port Huron, Michigan. That's where they found him and found Brian, the only survivor out of his sisters and mom.
Bored at home? Head over to Chumba Casino and join some serious social casino fun. With hundreds of games at your fingertips, no purchase necessary. You can play anytime, anywhere. There's a special welcome bonus waiting for you when you sign up. Play for fun, play for free, and you could even redeem some great prizes. Visit ChumbaCasino.com and get ready to reel in the fun. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
So Brian was reported missing after the bodies of his mother and sisters were found. And so Port Huron police were looking because David Andrews' sister, I guess, lived in Port Huron. That's where he went. And then shot himself, but lived, and was put in jail and sentenced to, I believe, not multiple life sentences. I think 45 years, actually. If he served his, well, the worst part of the story that I wasn't going to include, but I feel like I have to share the whole thing to do it justice. I can feel a cough coming on. Hold on, guys. Oh no. Okay. I'm back, I think. Sorry, guys. I quit smoking my vape pen, I don't know how long, 6 weeks now. And I still feel like I'm coughing the residual whatever's up. Sorry. It's like I get this tickle in my throat. And I feel like someone is literally sticking like a little teeny feather down there and just tickling the back of it. And it is so uncomfortable. We were in Costco yesterday and it happened. And I was, that's embarrassing nowadays. Like, it's not only embarrassing, it's like, oh my God, I want to, like, everybody who walked by, I want to be like, I don't have COVID. I swear I don't have COVID. Like, this is a residual smoker's cough. I promise. Anyhow. Okay. So what I was saying is that I was going to leave this out because Halloween is such a fun holiday to me. And I guess my goal was more to come up with like spooky, maybe not even murder, just spooky stories that were kind of light a little bit. And that's, I guess, hard to do. This is definitely not light. So David Andrews, after, killing his wife, Jean Ann Young Andrews, and her two daughters. So, he was not the biological father of any of these children. And then kidnapping Brian, he also sexually abused Brian while he had him kidnapped for those few days. It's just terrible. But he was apprehended. He did survive the self-inflicted gunshot wound, and if he were to serve his whole sentence, he did have parole. He had a parole take place in November of 2017, or parole hearing, but I don't believe he got out. If he served his whole sentence, he would be set to be released in 2029 at age 71. However, he died of cancer last year at the age of 65. Can't say that I am sad about that one. Brian Massey, the little boy who was kidnapped and whose entire family was murdered, basically in front of him, says that Andrew's death brings a bunch of relief to his family, obviously, because now there's no chance he could get out. But he also said that he had empathy for Andrew's family and that they were victims in the ordeal as well, which I find somebody like that to be he could just be saying that for the camera, sure, or the news, whatever. But wow. You have empathy. I mean, yeah, I guess it's not the family's fault. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be hard to have empathy for anyone related to someone who killed my mother and siblings in front of me and then kidnapped me, abused me, and then tried to kill himself. I definitely no empathy for him, but it'd be hard to have empathy for his family. Maybe not. I'd have to think about that more. Well, that was a terribly told story, if you could even call it a story. It was more like a paragraph that I interrupted myself on 15 times. So hope you enjoyed it. Well, I'll do the Austin part 4 tomorrow, and then maybe we'll do this Velisca one later this week, because then I have some other ones I want to do later for Halloween. I haven't done any Halloween stuff yet, and it is October 7th. No Halloween things have been done. I did put up decorations, and then I realized I don't really have a lot of decorations. Why do I think I have so many decorations? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things on my fireplace mantle that's right in front of me here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 more things. Where do you get good Halloween decorations that don't cost a fucking fortune? Any idea? I mean, Goodwill I know has some, but that's hit or miss. I'm taking suggestions if anyone has any. What? Oh, I did make dinner for Mark on Friday night, and I have several Halloween costumes, and obviously I'm not going to wear several Halloween costumes on Halloween because we're not going anywhere on Halloween. So I decided I'm just going to wear a different Halloween costume each weekend, and for no reason except for just for me and Mark. And so I did wear a Halloween costume and made dinner. I made these amazing meatballs that one of my best friends, Jackie, told me to make. Asian meatballs. I made them with beef and pork. I usually don't eat pork, but because pigs are very smart and adorable. So are cows. So it's not really viable reasoning, but that's okay. I think I have built my entire personality on contradicting things that don't make sense. So that's one of them. Let's add it to the list. And they were delicious. They were really good. And I'm trying to get her to start a YouTube channel. She has a bunch of meatball recipes. She has a 4-year-old, and it's a great way to get him to eat protein. And she purees vegetables into the meat. And so he doesn't even know he's getting all these vegetables. And she's a really cute name for it. And she just has so many good ideas. I don't want to give all the ideas away. But I think she should turn it into a parenting, nutrition, food, mommy YouTube. That was 10 things, but that's fine. And I made crispy potatoes, which are essentially just those teeny little Yukon Gold potatoes, and you get them soft and then you smush them down and put them in the oven. And then whipped feta. Whoa. Blew my mind. It was so good. What else? Oh, we tried to watch the McCamey Manor documentary on Hulu. I was kind of into it. I didn't love it because I think the whole thing is kind of weird. Oh, another cough. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay. I feel like it's coming back, guys, so I'm going to wrap this up because I don't want to have to keep stopping. The short version of the story I was about to tell is that Mark was really annoying to watch that with. He just had a lot of commentary. And sometimes his commentary is really funny and I'm totally into it. And sometimes I just want to watch it and have my own opinions. So we stopped watching it. It was really late also. But he couldn't get past the fact that these people sign a waiver. And it's kind of if they sign a waiver, and in the waiver it clearly states you could have your teeth pulled and be given tattoos, then shame on them. Fucking idiots they are. That's their own fault. And honestly, I kind of can't disagree, but also it was still just interesting. So I didn't finish watching it. Did anybody else watch it? Let me know. Haven't checked Instagram. No shock there. I'll get there. Patreon. I know this must feel like I'm plugging Patreon all the time. I'm honestly not. and I kind of feel, sorry, excuse me, I should stop talking about it because as much as there's a lot of bodily functions happening here, coughing. You can hear me swallowing so loudly. As much as I love the Patreon and It does bring in a little bit of money. I also like that it's kind of a small group of people because I just publish. Patreon does end up being kind of like my. Not that I'm not honest on here or on social media, but I think most people do. I censor myself a bit. I curate what I share. And on Patreon, I still do a little, but like very, very little. So I did want to say that I noticed Josephine and Betsy and Karen and Mallory have somewhat recently joined Patreon. I think we had a couple other people who joined like for the free week and then didn't continue, which is completely understandable. But I just wanted to say welcome to them. And that I appreciate the Patreon. This morning I was really in the needing to vent, and usually on my morning walks I either talk to my friend Jackie or sometimes I'll listen to music or podcasts, but I've been trying lately to listen to nothing and just, I already said this last week, but like walk with my thoughts. And this morning that just wasn't cutting it. So I hopped on to Patreon and thought I was going to record like a 5-minute, like, hey guys, how was your weekend? And it turned into a 30-minute, like, let me tell you about every thought in my brain right now. So, but I'm very grateful for the people there who put up with, I'm grateful for all of you. You know what? I am grateful for all of you for letting me continue to work out what this podcast is in real time every week and figure out my life on here. And and the feedback that you guys share, whether it be suggestions for stories or just comments on or DMs or emails or whatever it might be, like I just encouragement, so much encouragement. And many of you have said you feel like you're talking to or having a conversation with a friend. And again, I just want to keep reiterating it because it's not, I'm not like blowing smoke up your ass. It's not bullshit. Like I said, this is not my job. I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel that way. And I do feel like I get as much from you guys. I probably get more from you guys than you get from me. Lately, you get like a disorganized, occasionally true crime, mostly whiny, contemplating life type situation from me. So, but it seems to be working for some of you. So I'm very happy about that. And everything that you guys give me and allowing me to have this space and time, I really appreciate. I really appreciate each and all of you. So I think I mentioned on Patreon today, and I hesitate to mention this on here, but because when I do mention something, I feel like it takes me a long time to follow through with it. We'll see. Mark and I discussed just kind of the podcast and where it was going and what we could do. And depending on what happens with my wonderful co-host, I thought, in the interim, maybe I would have like a different listener each week. Not on the bonus, because the bonus has become kind of personal to me. I like the mini stories, and I think I'll continue doing that. But I also like just being able to talk. But maybe have a different listener each week on the main episodes. I think I've said before, for some reason, it kind of makes me nervous. I'm not sure why. But I don't know. I'm tossing the idea around. So I've already had one or two people from Patreon say that they would love to fill in as co-host for an episode. Did I press record on the other one? Oh, thank goodness. I have Zoom and GarageBand going here, and when I stopped to cough, I wasn't sure I restarted it. So I don't know. If it's something you might be interested in, definitely let me know. It's something that I'm thinking about. But I guess it makes me nervous because I lose control over how that recording goes then. Like, well, I guess it could just be an experiment. It would be interesting. I'd imagine that with some people, I'd probably have like good chemistry. It would flow easily. It'd be very comfortable. With some people, maybe less chemistry, less comfortable, but that's okay. It could be kind of entertaining for everyone as a spectator though. Yeah, that's probably what makes me nervous is that, when it's just me, I have complete control over this. And even when it's Jenna and I or Mark and I, it's less control, but I know them well enough that I can be like, shut up, stop asking so many questions. I actually don't say that. So I guess I don't know. I don't know. I need to work out my thoughts before I get on the microphone sometimes, I think. So yeah, that's it. That's all for today. My urge to cough has gone away, but now I've blabbered for 45 minutes and shared 2 mediocre spooky stories with you. So, well, actually, one wasn't even spooky. One was like an ad for a fucking amusement park. Boy, oh boy, killing it this Monday. Week is off to a good start. No, I'm just kidding. The week is off to a good start. You know what? I've started waking up when I go on the morning walk with the dogs. I'm like, it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. Even if I kind of feel like it's not going to be a good day, I just say it because maybe it will. And, I know, I talked about this with my friend Jackie. It is a good day. Every day is a good day because I'm awake. I have my barking dogs outside that you probably just heard. I have a home. I can't always pay all the bills in the home, but I still have it. I still have a home. And food and clothes and all the things. And there's this guy here, a homeless man here, who has a dog. And I've seen him in the general same area. And Mark and I have seen him. And the times that we've seen him, I've made Mark stop and give him money. And then Friday, I saw him and I went and got like dog food and dog treats and water and some cash. And gave it to him because he always has a dog and he's always like brushing his dog and his dog looks like very clean and well taken care of. And unfortunately, this man does not look very clean or well taken care of. He looks like he hasn't slept inside in years. And it is very sad and it really hurts my heart. But it makes me very happy to, this is so terrible, but it makes me very happy to see how kind he is to his dog, somebody who seemingly has nothing. It still gives so much to this animal, and it's gonna make me cry. So I'm gonna stop talking about it. But, it's a selfish thing that I give him dog food or dog treats or a little cash. It's honestly, it's like, it feels very selfish because it makes me feel good. It helps him probably a little bit. It probably doesn't help him that much. I'm not like giving him a year's worth of food or a place to live, but it helps him a little bit. But it helps me more because just in that moment, it reminds me that like, oh my God, okay, so what if I can't pay a bill or what if I can't, do something that I want to do or my career isn't as fulfilling as I wish it would be sometimes, or I don't, I'm alone all the time. Oh, boo-hoo. Like, I'm so fucking lucky. And I know that works on different levels. Like, there's somebody who still has less than I do, but more than he does, who could say the same thing. There's somebody who has way more than I do that can also say, like, you can see the luck in your own life, I guess, if you choose to. And it's really easy to lose sight of that, I think. I lose sight of it a lot, especially lately. I think it's easy to get stuck in our heads, in our depression, in our worries, in our stresses, in what we don't have or can't do, or feel like is missing from our life. But seeing him and then being able to go and buy some dog food and some dog treats and some water and a sandwich for him, it forces me to say, wow, I have the ability to do this for him and for myself. How lucky am I? I don't know what happened to this man. I don't know how he became homeless. And there's unfortunately so many homeless people everywhere. And it's heartbreaking. It makes me really, really sad because everyone should have a home. And I don't want to end this podcast crying. So I'm going to leave it at that. But, yeah. So tomorrow I will be back, hopefully with more organized thoughts and a better story for you. Not all this jumping around nonsense, but who knows? Can't promise anything. I have to go let Henry in because he is barking and I don't like him to bark too much for his heart. I hope everyone had a wonderful Monday, and thank you all for, as always, taking this up and down roller coaster of a ride of a podcast with me and sticking in and being here every week. And and as I continue to say, I really do love hearing from all of you. Please email, voicemail, DM, all the things. And I hope you all wake up tomorrow morning and tell yourself that you're going to have a good day and that it actually comes true. And I love you, and good night.